previous generation experienced the Second World War and many civil wars, depending on where they lived. Thankfully, all those came to an end, and nations were connected again, and no one was fighting. People went back to work, either work the land, the farmlands, or as laborers in the factories. In the 80s and 90s, the new thing called corporate culture was created. Local shops and factories turned into big corporations or smaller ones. With the offices and cubicles, that was the new thing, the way we are working. Of course, to this day, we have laborers, but more and more people are going to work for offices. So more people are more familiar with that. In the 80s and 90s, because nations stopped fighting, there was more communication between them and the markets. So more people were going abroad to work, find new opportunities, and the corporations incorporated them because they had an idea for different markets. So it was win-win situations. That changed the way business that were done. And that's the concept I call the new corporate culture came to fruition. And that's what the essay is all about. Because we still have the corporate culture, the office work, but now the workplaces are more diverse. And because of that, organizations like the European Union and others in US, etc., created the regulations and laws to protect the rights of the workers. And that came, of course, after many racial and worker social movements that they had to fight for their rights. That changed the mentality in the workplace. Therefore, those organizations created the laws to protect the rights of the employees. Later on, more and more companies became diverse. So every day, these laws are changing to include more people and their rights. The most common one, the newest one, is the DEI, which means diversity, equity, and inclusion. So no matter what your background, your sex, race, gender, ethnicity, disabilities, etc., you should get the same opportunities as anyone else. This changed the landscape in the business as we knew it from before. Of course, that's a good thing, and I have experienced it myself working in various multinational companies. I met people from Europe, like Spain, Portugal, Greece, UK, even before they went out of Europe, the Baltic countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. I met people from Latin America, North America, Africa, South Africa, uh, there's, even Vietnamese and Chinese. So I had the experience of working with people from worldwide. And that's a good thing. I learned a lot about their cultures, how they are thinking, and that changed the way the companies are working because they have to adapt to everyone's diverse background. And that brought a lot of changes, both good and bad. That's the things I noticed, and I wanted to write this new concept. That's where this new concept comes in my head. Because companies had to work around this, there is two approaches, the EMIC approach and the ethic approach. The EMIC approach, you look at people's cultural traits as you are one of them. You understand them completely. You learn about the behaviors, the social norms, etc. So you have to understand the whole culture of a specific person. Now, the ethic approach is trying to figure out how different cultures, different people from different cultures, can come together and work as a unit under the same ideals and values and social norms. And that's hard to do within a business that has 50 different nationalities, for example. Of course, the regulations assisted to that because, for example, the European Union gives guidelines how to approach employees so that you not allow anyone feel unwelcomed. But the companies have to be creative to find new methods too and initiatives to implement those and also give flexibility to their employees so they don't feel pressure and leave the company because that's another issue. Before, people used to work for 15, 20 years at the same company because wherever you went, they were the same. So they didn't know anything else. So there was no point in going to another company. But now companies are compared between themselves based on the benefits they give, the salaries, the working conditions, how flexible they are, because employees are searching for a work-life balance. A lot of companies take into consideration this part, but many more they don't. I had experience in myself, and those were the reasons that I had to leave because you have to consider people's needs nowadays, especially since the law is giving them more rights. Before it was the employers' rights. They wanted whatever they wanted, they were implementing. But now employees have more rights, and the employers have to respect that. They create different events and they give gifts to their employees, things that in certain cases are nice, but the employees do not care about those. They prefer to have other things, in better salaries, having more time with their families, and so on. So everyone is getting the same thing, but it's not equal for everyone because some people are parents, some are not, some came for work at this company for a few months and then leave, move to another country, while others want stability. So companies have to understand, first of all, what they want the company to look like, the values of the company, and project those outwards to employees that they want to hire during and before the hiring process, and get people that resonate with that. Otherwise, they fall into a trap. And also, they have to listen to the feedback of their employees. They say, okay, we do surveys, they ask the employees, but or sometimes employees go to the managers and say the things they believe they are not working. But I have seen it a lot of times. They don't take them into consideration. They just say they do the processes, the procedures, so they look good to the organization, the regulatory organizations, but they don't change anything or change things for that is benefiting the managers or the company in general, not their employees. But that's a negative thing for even for the company. They don't get it. If their employees are not happy, they will leave. Okay, they say we're gonna hire more people, but hiring more people is more expensive in the long run because you need more time afterwards to train those people, spend more money on them and more time. While the person you had before had the experience because he was working for years for you build trust with that person, and now you have to build trust with a new person. So it's like a new thing again, over again. So it's not positive even for the firm. But unfortunately, a lot of enterprises don't understand that. And because every day new regulations and laws are coming to light, corporations have to take that into mind because that's reality, the new corporate culture. You have to by the laws and take care of your employees. And in the end, it would be again win-win situations because your employees are happy and your company will become better, so you will be happy.